Everybody dreams, even characters in a movie. As such, dream sequences are a staple of cinema. They allow us to bend conventional forms of storytelling, adding a flavour of surrealism that everyone can relate to. Before we tuck ourselves in, subscribe to Studio Binder and click the bell to stay in the know on all things filmmaking. And catch the second part of this topic, where we look at how to put a dream on the screen. There will be a bit of graphic content in this video. Time to get some shut-eye.
And I guarantee you'll hit the hay the second that your head hits the matter.
Sailor.
I love the dream logic. Cinema can say things that are difficult to say in words, just like when you have a dream. But cinema can be the dream. A dream sequence is one of the simplest ways to get inside a character's head, showing us a perspective rooted in a single person's interiority. There are plenty of variations on the dream, like the daydream, the nightmare, the hallucination, or the premonition. Dreams can be wildly fantastical or only subtly different from the real world. Dream sequences are integral to cinema, as the art form itself has been compared to the act of dreaming. Walter Murch writes in his book, In the Blink of an Eye, "It is revealing that the words a parent uses to comfort a child frightened by a nightmare, 'Don't worry, darling, it's only a dream,' are almost the same words used to comfort a child frightened by a film. 'Don't worry, darling, it's only a movie.'
Remember, it's only a movie."
Perhaps for this very reason, dream sequences are utilized by countless filmmakers. But they shouldn't be used without caution. Some dream sequences can feel like an overly convenient and lazy way to show a character's interiority. When approaching a dream, a writer should ask themselves a question. What is the goal of the dream? Often, the answer is for characterization.
Thank you. But it's gonna be a no.
A dream is one of the most effective ways to viscerally depict a character's primary concern. This might be their deepest desire, like to become a celebrated surfer, or their core drive, like protecting their family. Daydreams are often used for a more immediate want.
Hello, Rob. Remember me? Ray.
In High Fidelity, Rob wants to get back at Ray
Guess who?
and runs through multiple fantasies about how he could do it.
So shall we leave it at that?
I've already left it.
You pathetic rebound Now get your patchouli stink out of my store!
Shall we leave it at that then?
No.
He's not! So shall we leave it at that then?
Think about it, Rob. Okay.
Often, filmmakers use nightmares to show their character's biggest fear. In Pee-wee's Big Adventure, an otherwise mundane fear of losing a bike becomes an otherworldly and horrifying sequence. The audience now truly understands how scary the prospect of losing a bike is to Pee-wee. In The Fly, a nightmare shows us Veronica's biggest fear, while also introducing the horrifying idea as an actual possibility. A dream can also visualize some of the character's core traits. In this scene from Bananas, the character's persecution complex is shown in surrealist high relief. Not only is he being persecuted, but his parking spot is being stolen. A dream sequence doesn't need to be so one-to-one, and rather be an open-ended reflection on a character's general mindset. In Akira, a bizarre nightmare doesn't spell out Tetsuo's character traits, but it does make the audience unsettled, just like how Tetsuo's feeling.
I just want to hang out. No big deal.
But dream sequences don't need to be limited to characterization. They can also have a larger narrative function. One of the most common narrative functions for a dream is the fake-out. A scene might start relatively ordinary, but then it takes a turn for the worst, or the best, surprising, jarring, or amusing the audience. In Aliens, this meeting feels like a routine checkup until it doesn't. This lets James Cameron rattle the audience right off the bat, as he explains.
I remember from the premiere training of the film that the sort of incomplete chestburster scene here really got people cranked up and put them on edge. Kind of set the tone for the whole movie that you were here to be messed with.
If we knew from the beginning of the scene that it was a dream, the effect Cameron was aiming for would have been lost.
Bad dreams again? You want something to help you sleep?
No.
The dream fake-out is extremely common in horror movies, letting a filmmaker create a big scare without having to kill off their characters, or having to worry about breaking the rules of the story world.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Dreams can also be used to inform a story's themes. This is most common for sequences that are more open-ended or experimental. In Brazil, the recurring flying dream doesn't have an explicit meaning, but a viewer might see the beautiful natural vista is destroyed by grey high-rises as a critique of bureaucracy and modernity, which is the core concern of the film. Terry Gilliam discusses the deliberately opaque meaning of these dreams.
This is why I'm not certain whether these are analyzable on a Freudian level or not, because I don't recognize most of these images as meaning something. Now that means maybe I've repressed these things so much, they're so deep, but on the other hand, I think a lot of them are just cute ideas that I've had that I think are ironic or funny. I know this could either be a sign, a pro-feminist statement, or not, as the case may be.
Wild Strawberry's first dream is even more open-ended, an evocative scene that resists a clear takeaway. The symbols within it, however, seem to relate to the themes of the rest of the movie: the march of time and the inescapability of death. Just because dream sequences depict events that don't actually happen, they can still push the story forward. In the Final Destination films, a character has a premonition about an impending disaster, prompting them to take steps to avoid it, and in turn, kicking off the plot.
The left side blows up and then the whole plane just explodes. And it was so real, just like how everything happens, you know?
In The Manchurian Candidate, Melvin and Marco's dreams end up becoming evidence that one of their fellow soldiers has been hypnotized.
Help me.
Twin Peaks takes this a step further, using dreams to direct its protagonist throughout his investigation of a murder.
Harry, it's Cooper. Meet me for breakfast, 7 a.m. in the hotel lobby. I know who killed Laura Palmer.
No, it can wait till morning.
So, say you want to write in a dream sequence for any of the reasons we've discussed so far. How do you put them in a script? Just as dreams come in many shapes and sizes, so too does their formatting on the page.
Dad?
It's okay, sweetie.
How a screenwriter approaches depicting a dream depends on the dream's purpose.
Dad? Dad, help me! Dad, please help me! Please help me, please!
In the opening pages of Inception, for example, Christopher Nolan wants to disorient the audience, and therefore doesn't clearly indicate which scenes are a dream and which aren't. Instead, he simply notes in the slug line that the non-dream scene feels like a different time. This is vague enough to not show his hand, but tells the reader that the two sequences are somehow distinct. Nolan adds further clarity by adding a cut to when transitioning between dream and reality. In the script for The Princess Bride, screenwriter William Goldman uses a cut-to on the left-hand side of the page when getting out of a dream, and in the next action line, writes that Buttercup is coming out of her nightmare, making it obvious that the previous scene was a dream. The cut-to, meanwhile, emphasises that the transition should feel jarring.
Boo! Boo! Rubbish! Filth! Slime! Muck! Boo! Boo! Boo!
There are other, more stylized ways to underscore the transition between dream and reality. In her screenplay for The Substance, Coralie Fargeat doesn't denote that a scene is a dream and lets it escalate to wild proportions. She emphasizes the chaos by using larger fonts and italics. The next scene begins with a yell, though not one written in dialogue format. Instead, it indicates the feeling the transition should have for the audience. The script for A Serious Man also doesn't overtly label its dream sequence, creating a more subtle fake-out. Instead of over-the-top action lines, the Coen brothers simply end the dream by writing their character's name in all uppercase. This transition suggests to the reader how the scene will open, on Larry's face.
There's another Jew, son!
Screenwriters not trying to disorient or fake out their readers may more clearly label a dream. In The Fugitive, the dream is indicated at the beginning of the scene heading. There is no surprise dream reveal needed in this sequence.
You find that man! Find that man!
Anakin's nightmares in Revenge of the Sith are also labelled in the scene heading, though at the end. George Lucas wants the audience to know this is a dream, and goes so far as to describe in the action how the scene will be shot. The view is strangely distorted and disorienting. How a dream sequence is written can also hint at how it should be edited. In his Braveheart screenplay, Randall Wallace indicates that a dream should be briefly intercut with Mornay's restless sleep. He doesn't give the dream its own scene heading, and instead writes that, in subliminal flashes, he dreams of Wallace riding towards him. There is no right or wrong way to write in a dream, but as with all screenwriting conventions, clarity is key. Dreams are a window into a character's subconscious, as well as an opportunity to experiment with storytelling styles and conventions. So the next time your character falls asleep, ask yourself, what are they dreaming of? Jot down your next dream sequence with Studio Binder's screenwriting software, and plan to shoot it with our pre-production tools. Until next time, dream on.